Baba Core Podcast Network.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for checking out the Glass Clown Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Christopher. Hopefully you're doing well. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for supporting the Breakell Core Podcast Network. I do appreciate that. Just another reminder, if you could like and subscribe on whichever platform you use to listen to podcasts, that would be great. That would be helping out the podcast network, and I do appreciate that. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're also on YouTube. I got a YouTube page for the podcast, the Breakell Core YouTube channel. If you can like and subscribe on there as well, that would be awesome. Thank you in advance for doing that. And you could reach out to me, or you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at yourhomiepat, or you can email me at yourhomiepat@gmail.com. You can send any questions, comments, anything. If you want to share something on the podcast, or you just want to reach out to me about comedy bookings or anything you got to ask, go ahead and send it there to yourhomiepat@gmail.com. Everything you can find at breakellcore.com. That's for all the podcasts. That's for anything that, if I have shows coming up, I'll also post it on there. But as long as you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, that's where I usually update the information for any shows or anything that I got coming up for that. So yeah, on today's podcast, I sit down with local comedian Christopher Breakell. We talked about comedy for a little bit. We talked about drinking and also sobriety. We talked about that about a little bit. This was a good conversation. I do want to let you know, if you are watching this on YouTube, there was the last 30 minutes or so of the podcast is just audio. I had ran out of memory on my SD card, which I do apologize for, but it was still a great conversation. The audio is fine. The audio came out just fine. But the video, it cuts out at the 31-minute mark, because I don't clear my my SD cards like I should, So I'm going to be more on top of that, a little bit be better about that. So I do apologize to Christopher Breckell about the video not being out there, the whole start to finish of the video. But either way, it was still a good conversation. Hopefully you enjoy this. Let's get into it with my conversation with Christopher Breckell. A lot of stuff happening in Austin, huh?
A lot of stuff happening in Austin. I'm just trying to go up there just because it's more spots.
Yeah.
There's a lot more spots up there. So I'm going up there on Mondays and hitting open mics, and then, trying to be like, hey, remember me, don't forget about me, and try to do some spots. But yeah, I think that's all I got to promote as far as, I don't know, come to the Tiger. I don't even promote myself anymore. Just come to the Blind Tiger.
Twitter, Instagram, social media. What?
On Instagram, I'm at Freckell, which is Freakell, just my last name with an F instead of a B.
Yeah.
And then Twitter, I'm at Breckell Garbage.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's
I'm
cool.
Probably mostly on Instagram more than Twitter.
Sorry to freak out about the drinking. I was like, are you back? Are you off the wagon again? Because I know that was a thing. So I was
no, that's good. Hey, keep me in check, man. If you see me drinking, something's going on.
Yeah, that's why I was like, are you okay?
Should I turn everything to promote off? Big Swig. What's up, Austin? Brewed in Austin.
Oh, is it an Austin thing? You just like claiming Austin? Is there?
I don't want to be at all. It's like Austin's a weird place. I don't like it. The reason I like San Antonio so much, like I grew up in the Dallas area, so like Plano, which is like very much just the same, just like white people everywhere, right?
Yeah.
moved down to San Antonio, and it was like almost like a culture shock because like I was not the majority anymore. You know what I mean? And like I kind of love that just because I don't know. You just feel it kind of puts you out of your comfort zone a little bit and like keeps you on your toes a little bit and like. As far as like comedy goes too, I think makes you like a stronger comic because you're not playing to people who are like exactly like you. I feel like Austin is a little bit. They act like they're super progressive city, but it's like there's majority young white people. And so like every time I'm back there, I do feel a little bit like. I just feel like everyone looks like they're wearing, like every dude there looks like he's wearing shorts, a tight t-shirt, and then like tattoos and facial hair. And it's like, man, you guys, I couldn't tell you apart if it was in a lineup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's just something about being in a city like that just makes me like, I don't know, like slightly uncomfortable. Like you're all too much in your own lane. You know, like there's not enough like diversity in thought. But as far as I do like the city, you know, and like it's fun. I guess I'm saying all this because like part of me is like, man, maybe I'll move to Austin at some point, you know, just because it's a bigger scene as far as comedy goes and maybe like more opportunity. It's like, what kind of place do I want to live in? You know what I mean? Do I want to live in like a place where everyone kind of feels like me? I mean, for lack of a better word, it's like pretty hipster. Everyone thinks they're like cool as shit. You know what I mean? And
it
like,
is a hipster move for sure.
It's a hipster move and like it's bizarre, but it does, you know. It's nice. I mean, like what they have like fucking 5 or 6 open mics like every night. And it's like it's just for like stage time alone. It seems nice.
See, that's nice. That's nice. And I mean, from San Antonio, it's not that far of a drive, but it's just like it's a long drive if you have a bad night. Like if you have a bad night of mics and stuff, or a bad like set at a show.
I could be
like,
5 minutes away from my house and have a bad night. It's still a long ass drive.
Yeah.
But for sure, definitely been times where I've like bombed in Austin or just not felt great about my sets, and then like that hour and a half home is like, all right, we're gonna sit in silence.
Yeah. So is a move in your near future, like a move to a different city, or Austin, or you even mentioned New York?
I want to say like I know a few move is in my near future, but I've also been saying a move is in my near future for like the last 3 years. You know what I mean? I think for definitely like before COVID, like it was ramping up to where I was like definitely like I need to get out of the city, just for like self progression and just like growth. Then like COVID happened. I think a lot of people, including myself, were just like forced to be like, all right, I got to deal with where I'm at because I can't go anywhere else. You know what I mean? So it made me kind of reflect more and like put more focus on like what can I do while I'm here, you know? So it made me a little bit less anxious to move or like feeling I need to move right now. So it's still definitely in the pipeline. But then, you know, all those like other elements of like, I guess like security, you know, of like I'm nervous to move, you know, I'm nervous to be in a new place. I'm nervous figuring out like my job in that and new, you know, figuring out your spot. It's also a thing of like, we're pretty much wherever I move right now, it's going to be like, I'm going to essentially be starting over in comedy because like I don't have my own fan base or anything like that, you know, really. So it's like, basically just starting back over at like bottom tier. But I also think that would like push me a lot too. To be like, all right, well, at least I know I have some material that works, you know, so it's not like I'm starting over fresh who I don't know, you know, I'm not getting up on mic being like, what am I going to talk about? But also everyone's going to be like, who the fuck is this guy? He sucks, you know, and like you're going to have to like reprove yourself. And that's nice. You know, I think that ultimately is a good move.
That is kind of cool. It's like to have that like, you're new in a new city, but you do have all this like material. So it's not like you're new to the mic, you're the new guy, but you're fucking funny already. You know? You just don't have any like any status.
Yeah, you have no status.
Whatever?
I think it also is going to be a slap in the face too, of being like, oh, I'm not that funny.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm San Antonio funny or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I think it would also help you like push your material like a level further. I think it just like San Antonio does have a bit of like a cap of just like it's like we don't have a crazy amount of comics here, you know what I mean? There's probably like maybe like 15, 20 people who do it like dedicatedly, you know, who are showing up at mics all the time and like trying to get booked on shows and like doing their shit. And like I think ultimately you're gonna push yourself and feel the need to be a lot better and like do it if there's like, you know, 500 people in the scene.
Yeah.
Because you know, even if your shit's working, you're gonna be like, well, 400 people shit's working better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just easier to like feel like you're on top of like 20 people instead of on top of like 500. So like ultimately it's just more competition's gonna push you to be harder.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Is that maybe I'm just too stuck into capitalism?
No, but it does make sense. Like San Antonio is a nice place to start because there aren't that many people and stuff. But then you get stuck in that sense, like, oh, I'm San Antonio strong, which when you go out anywhere else, it really doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. And like also like everywhere I go every time I do comedy in a different city,
Yeah.
I'm like you're like, oh, this is a different audience. Like they're laughing at different stuff. They like a different pacing. They like a different feel. You know, just to compare, like, you know, I guess Texas scenes like Austin, they feel like much more willing to like listen to you. So you can be a little bit more long-winded. You can like they're like happy to be there. You know what I mean? Like when you go to Houston, it almost feels like a little bit more like arms crossed, like make me laugh, motherfucker.
Really?
You know what I mean? I feel so. There's like a little bit I don't know, I feel like they got a little like Houston people have a little more like chip on their shoulder, you know, a little bit bigger of a city, you know, they're a little more like tough. And so like, it's almost, I feel like you got to fight a little bit more with the audience to like get them on board, like you got to prove to them that you're funny. While Austin sometimes will give you a little bit more leniency. Like, all right, you're doing your art, you know, like we're going to support your art. While Houston's like, hey, fuck your art, make me laugh, you know? And then like San Antonio is almost like a mix of the two, but like San Antonio is also like, it's much more like family city. So it's like very like, you know, most of the, I feel like shows we're doing here is for like people who, you know, are like working class, you know, like they got off of their fucking like construction job or like whatever, doing their shit. And they're just like, oh, we're going to have a couple beers and laugh. Like, don't be too sophisticated up there because we're not going to listen to your bullshit. You know, like, where's the punchlines? So I think it definitely helps you in that case where like, like San Antonio constantly reminds me like it is about the punchlines and these people are here to see comedy. They ultimately don't really give a shit about your opinion, you know what I mean? So like you can't just go up there and preach. You gotta make sure you're being funny, you know? So like in that sense, I do think San Antonio's made me like a stronger comic than, I don't know, than maybe playing in front of an audience that is very much like I'm a, you know, whatever, pretty like left-wing like progressive person, which is I think more of like there's more of that in Austin than there is San Antonio. So telling them when in Austin, I kind of feel like I'm more playing to people who are like-minded to me, like, or well, I might have flipped that, but like in Austin, you know, there's just like a lot more white people in Austin, a lot more people, like younger people, and I'm also young and white, so like it's just on that level I feel like they're almost more easily on board with my material because we're playing from a similar worldview. While in San Antonio, I don't like a lot of Catholic people, a lot of like Latino people, a lot of people just different, you know, upbringing and worldview as me. So it's like, it's more about the funny because they're not going to be necessarily on board about my opinion, you know? So like, I like that aspect of it.
Do you change anything? Like if you have a San Antonio set and then, okay, you're going to Austin. Do you change anything because of the Austin crowd?
Not really. I think that like, I usually more change like maybe like on stage. If I'm not getting the feedback I want, I might like kind of switch it up a little bit. I think that like, sometimes in Austin, I'll be a little bit more casual or like, I'm not so worried about being like set up punch. I have like, you feel like you have a little bit more freedom to be like somewhat more loose or like, you know, maybe I can talk about my day a little bit and then like, how does this material like fit into it? While like sometimes in San Antonio, I'm like, all right, let's get to the point. You know what I mean? Like let's cut all the fat and get in there. Because like sometimes those Austin crowds seem to, I don't know, they seem like they want to be there more, so they're more willing to like let you talk. You know, it's almost like San Antonio, it's hard to get crowds to come out. You gotta like almost like beg people, you know. But like Austin, there's more of a fan base who just likes comedy, especially like support for like local comedy. While like in San Antonio, like LOL Comedy Club will fill up, you know, when you have like Bob Saget out there, but you know, like last night we did a show at like a coffee house, and it felt like we were begging people to come. You know, free show, you can drink. You know, you know, we'll have all this shit, and also there'll be comedy. You know, but you just come for a good time, and you know, some asshole will talk to you for a bit. You know? It's like you almost had to trick him to come. So yeah, I don't really change my material that much, but I might change my tone a little bit, and sometimes it feels like you have to like be a little bit more performative in San Antonio. Like they want you to I don't know, more pizzazz, I guess. Exactly, you know, a little more act outs, a little bit more like you got to sell the material a little bit more. Well, a lot of my material is a bit more like dry. You know, my sense of humor is just more like casual and dry, and not like, you know, I don't know. I'm not fucking fluffy. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna. I don't make a bunch of noises and like, you know, flip the propeller on my hat and shit. So, you know, maybe I'm just projecting a lot on these people too, and like they're ultimately just like, hey, if you're funny, we're gonna laugh. You know? It does. You do get in your head a bit, being like, what do these people want?
I've heard something. I don't know if it's true. I haven't done too many mics in Austin or shows at all in Austin, but like. When you do, because I do a lot of like my wife this, my wife that, the wife this. They're like, maybe you should say my partner.
Oh, okay.
You know
That's
what I mean?
interesting. Yeah.
So I know that wouldn't fly in San Antonio too much.
Well, if you
like,
said that in San Antonio, it'd be like, all right, he's gay. You know what I mean? Like that would almost be distracting to them in San Antonio. It feels like if you said partner, because they're like, why is this guy trying to be so goddamn progressive? It's my wife. I know he has a wife. You know. Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah.
But you don't do a lot of relationship stuff, so you don't have like you don't have to do that. My partner, this like there's nothing. You don't have to like really change anything as far as like be woke PC kind of thing for different.
Yeah, like
scene.
a lot of my material is like that anyway. Like I say significant other a lot in my shit. And I guess that is like I guess it's just because the way I think. I'm just like I'm gonna be inclusive in my language or whatever, because some people, you know, don't think of them as like girlfriend or boyfriends or like whatever. So to me, it's just like, it's a thought of like, I'm going to open the joke up so like more people can relate to it.
Oh, okay.
But you're totally right. I think in some settings you say that and they just start judging you like, okay, this guy's trying to be inclusive. Thought we were on a comedy show, not a fucking rally, you know?
Yeah.
So,
because for me, it doesn't sound natural. Like, my partner, you know, this, you know, rather than my wife, the wife, you know, all that stuff.
yeah.
And then, you know, you can't do the Borat voice. You know,
my wife.
My partner. You know?
It's so funny when I say... Yeah. My partner just doesn't have the same ring to it. It's also like significant other is such a funny phrase to me because like it almost sounds like it's like a ghost or some shit, like an other.
Yeah.
There's an other in there. And it's a signitant other.
Yeah.
Like, your house haunted right now?
Yeah. Does anybody
like
else see
my
this
significant
other?
others in the bedroom? Like, oh shit, dude, lock that bedroom. I don't want to come out to the living room. So like, all that language is funny.
So I don't know if you want to talk about this, but how you been feeling lately? Because you made a lifestyle change. Recently, and I could take this out if you don't want to talk about it. But I'm interested in that though. Like,
are you talking about drinking stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
It's good. It's been like February 2020 is when I stopped drinking.
February, okay.
So that's like like a year and 4 months ish or whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm going to start by saying it feels good. It's like a positive change in my life.
Yeah.
That does not mean that it is not still like a constant struggle. You know what I mean? Of like, that is, you know, you just want that release and like avoidance that alcohol gives you. All those feelings don't go away. But like straight up, I was for sure an alcoholic, and like, I am glad I am no longer like living in that constant loop of like getting fucked up, getting hungover, feeling crazy guilty, and then like just, all right, I feel guilty and shitty, let's drink again, and that just going on and on and on. So to be like out of that loop feels super nice. But yeah, also, you know, like last night I really wanted to drink badly. You know, like you know, it's summertime. It's like weird. It's weird because there's so many different like kind of triggers in that. There's like happy triggers of like, yo, I'm by the pool, I want a margarita, it's hard as shit, and that's like a positive. And then there's also like the sad triggers, like, well, it's fucking, you know, 11 o'clock on a Monday, I feel sad, I don't like my life, I want to get fucked up in my house. You know what I mean? So there's like that's all very, still a process. With not drinking, it has just given me a bunch more capacity in my life to deal with shit. Like what I often tell people is like when I thought I would stop drinking and it would like solve all the problems in my life. Like, alcohol is my only problem. But then like you stop drinking and you realize like the only thing that you solved was your drinking problem. And now you actually have to deal with all this shit that you avoided through alcohol. So it like almost was like, all right, it was like, you go like through like a honeymoon phase, right? When you stop drinking. Yeah. And like the first, like kind of like the first month where you're like, fuck yeah, I'm doing it.
I did 30 days.
I feel amazing. I'm fucking working out. I have all this extra energy. Like, you feel very positive. You feel like you've made this positive change. And then like, about like after a month or so, like all of your other problems start creeping back in again of just like whatever family stuff, work stuff, self-loathing, just all the stuff you used alcohol to like deal with start creeping back in. You're like, fuck, I miss my pacifier. You know what I mean? Like I miss my comfort blanket. And so like that is like a different transition. I think like my hardest point in so far of like not drinking is like it was like 10 months in, because like I was feeling really good. I was feeling like I felt really good about where I was in life and kind of like my mental state. And then like one morning I woke up and it was like a Friday morning and I felt good. And I was like dancing in my apartment, I was like listening to music, and all of a sudden like a feeling just like washed over me, and I was like, I want to get fucked up right now. Like I want to get wasted. And I didn't understand that feeling because I was like, I don't feel bad, like I don't want to, like I don't feel sad and I want to drink. I feel happy and I want to drink. Like why do I feel good and happy but still want to drink? And like that shit lasted with me like all day. And then I tried to do like my kind of routine shit to get me out of that mindset where I would go like work out, and I think I like went to the skate park and like skateboarded, and I could not break the feeling. I was like, I am like, cannot stop thinking. My mouth is watering. Like I cannot break this like urge to drink. And I finally called like a sober buddy or whatever to like talk about it or whatever. Someone I have not really had been talking to very much at all in my sobriety. And like, I called him, and he's, a guy who's been sober for like 8 years. And he was like, yeah. He's like, of course you want to drink when you're happy. That's what you used to do to celebrate your happiness. Yeah. And just someone saying that to me was like, oh yeah, of course. That's why I want to drink, But like it's like kind of in the not drinking process, you have to like relearn almost like how your brain works. You know what I mean? Like, and like you like figure out all these like different paths and like weird things your brain would do with alcohol that you just didn't realize you were doing.
Because for some of us, that's an identity. That's our identity, is to be the drinker, to be the alcoholic,
For sure.
To be the person constantly recovering from a night of heavy drinking. Like that, like I'm going through that now, and I hate it. And I'm just like, but I know why I do it. I do it to escape stuff that I don't want to deal with, mentally, physically, stuff, anything that like I just want to take a break from. Yeah. But I'm just pushing stuff aside, and I'm fucking hating myself doing it. I don't know if I could ever be a person to like be 100% sober all the time, but I do think that it would benefit me to fucking stop drinking for a while.
Yeah, it's
But
it might, you know what I mean?
But I'm too afraid to like find out like, well then without that, who are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know 100% what you mean, because absolutely 100% my identity was alcohol. And like that was another big reason of me wanting to stop drinking, because I like hated the fact that like, oh, everyone associates me with alcohol, like whatever. They're hungover and they're basically like, Chris knows what I'm talking about, and I'm just over there like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and like I kind of hated that of like I realized all of my friendships, all of my social interactions, like they all revolved around alcohol. And so like I was unbelievably scared to stop drinking, because I was like, I'm gonna have to change everything in my life. And that is what I've had to do, and like it is severely affected my relationships with people. Like I'm not friends with some people that I used to be friends with. I'm not, my family dynamic has changed a lot. Just all these, because like that's how I related to people. You know, you can't like, you have good friends, and like the only time I saw those friends is like, all right, let's go to happy hour. And now I'm like, hey, I can't go to happy hour. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, well, what are we gonna do? Like twiddle our thumbs on your couch? And like, yeah, I guess so. You know?
Yeah.
But in that effect, well, first off, I will say like my life was unmanageable on alcohol. And like I knew that. And I had to like accept that, to kind of accept the fact that I needed to stop drinking. And like I do believe myself to be 100% like an alcoholic, which I also believe is a genetic thing. It also runs in my family. And I do not believe I can drink like a normal person. This is very much like AA speak, and like, you know, 12-step kind of like speaking, like, but like, so like I wish I could drink like a normal person. I wish I could go out for dinner and have like, you know, a glass of wine or like 2 glasses of wine, and then go home and go to sleep.
Yeah.
But like, I have never been able to drink that way. And like 100%, I can't count how many times I've gone to dinner with someone and then been like, all right, where do you guys want to go next? And I either get those people to go with me and drink harder, or if they don't, I'm like, peace, I'm going to go drink by myself. You know what I mean? And I'll go to a bar and I'll go get fucked up. And it's like, it was also one of those things where it was like, it would be like a Monday night, and like I would be like, whatever, going to like an open mic, and I was like, all right, I'll have like 1 Lone Star at this open mic. And then before I knew it, I was fucking 4 Lone Stars and 5 shots deep and blacked out on a Monday, you know, and I just did not have the control to stop myself. And I accepted that eventually, and realized like I cannot drink normally. I have an addiction, and really where the willpower comes in is me choosing not to drink, because as soon as I do drink, all that shit's out the window. You know what I mean? So I kind of just had to believe that and accept that, and it feels really unfair. And in a way, and the way I see it, it is unfair. It's a disease. You know, like I have a disease, which is alcoholism, but it doesn't mean I can get rid of that disease. You know, I kind of have to like to deal with it. So that's just how I like look at it. And it took that, realizing that and like believing that to myself, and actually believing that, because a lot of time I like try to tell myself that, but didn't really believe it. Like, no, I can moderate. I can moderate. Yeah. Like I tried to stop drinking for like a month once, and I got like, it was so funny. It was like, it's so stereotypical, like alcoholic. Like I was like, yeah, you know, I've been drinking too heavy. I'm going to take 1 month off, you know, just to get back on, you know, so I can enjoy drinking again. And I got maybe like, I think I went like a week and a half, no drinks. And then it was like one night after a show, probably at the Tiger, I was like, all right, well, it's been a long night. I'm gonna have 1 beer, but I'm not gonna get drunk. I'm just gonna have 1 beer. And then I would have 1 beer. And then like once that kind of gate was opened, the next time I was at an open mic, I was like, all right, I'll have 1 beer. And that lasted for about a week, where I was just having 1 beer. Yeah. And then I was at like Oak Hills one night, and there was like a newer comic who was like, you know, trying to talk to me or whatever. And he's like, oh man, can I buy you a drink? And I'd already had my 1 Lone Star. And I was like, yeah, man, you can buy me a drink. But now I have my 2nd Lone Star. Now we're out back and we're talking, sitting at a table. You know, he's being real nice. He's asking me about comedy. I'm enjoying the conversation. And he's like, man, you want another one? I'm like, yeah, I want another one. And I had another one. And then like, you know, then we're doing shots. And all of a sudden, you know, after whatever, 3 weeks, I was fucking fucked up on a Wednesday at a bar, you know, and I like could not make the month. I could not do it. I wanted to do it, could not do it. And like, that's just one example of like multiple times where I tried to like cut back and just couldn't do it. So like, it was literally just trial and error over and over again, when I was eventually like, I cannot drink like a normal person. Yeah. It's just not how it's going to happen.
How has being sober helped with writing and performing comedy?
Well, that was crazy too, because like it's helped immensely, because it's put focus back onto comedy. I was doing a thing, and this is another like classic thing of like alcoholics, is like I was counting drinks. So like, you know, I might have like 2 shows on like a Friday or something. I'm like, all right, well, my first show is at 8 o'clock. and my second show is at 10 o'clock. So I can have one drink before my 8 o'clock show.
Yeah.
And then I can have one drink while on stage at the 8 o'clock show, and I'll still be good. And then I can probably have one drink in between the 8 and the 10, and then I'll still be okay to be on stage and like present. And then as soon as the 10 o'clock is over, I can get as fucked up as I want. Now I can drink like I want. And so now I'm just going to go get fucked up. And what sucks about that is I'm thinking way more about drinking than I am comedy. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, what is the intention of me even going out? Do I give a shit about these shows, or I just give a shit about, and I did, obviously. You want to do well in the thing, but like that addiction is so much playing in the back of my head where it's like almost impossible to focus on other shit, you know what I mean? And then you start feeling guilty, you know, like on the second show you're about to go up and you're like, man, I'm a little bit more buzzed than I wanted to be. The other hard part about that is like people like me when I'm drunk. I've had way more people tell me they like me and think I'm funny when I'm drunk on a patio than when I am sober on a patio, you know, like I fucking quit drinking, and then like Joey, like one of his things, he was like, man, the first time I realized I liked you, you were fucked up singing karaoke. And I was like, okay, god damn it. You know what I mean? It's like that identity's coming back to you, and you feel like you're stripped of that. Another thing is like I have bad social anxiety. You know, like I am hesitant to give people my real personality and like who I am because I don't want to be judged, you know what I mean? So like alcohol kind of gave me that confidence to be like, well, fuck it, you know, they like me if they like me, you know, and being more like off the cuff and like saying stuff that, you know, maybe I'm not super comfortable saying in front of other people. So like what I realized though too is like, well, alcohol is just like my shortcut. I'm taking a shortcut to be like my real self, you know, and to like be vulnerable and open with people. And like, so like now I'm at a point where like I feel much more comfortable talking to people. I feel way more comfortable like giving my real opinions and being vulnerable and like letting people know, because I stopped using the crutch of alcohol to get me there. Like I had to, like over the last year and a half, I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to stop cutting up with people and like being funny, or like, you know, I want to have real conversations. So I'm just going to have to be vulnerable with these people and like, you know, not have the crutch of the alcohol to give me the confidence to do it. And now I feel like I feel like a shit ton more present in my life, of just like I'm actually here, like participating instead of just like coasting and literally being blacked out sometimes and not being there and present in your life. And like it's enhanced my relationships with people a bunch, and it also, I just like almost feel less boring because I'm like, all right, sometimes I'll push people to have a real conversation because like I used to use alcohol to like be entertained. You know, like I would go on like a date with someone and be like, well, I'm not really enjoying what the shit you're saying. So I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'll take like a shot at the bar, and then I'd come back and I'll be like, all right, I'm in a good mood now. Say whatever the fuck you want. You know, I'll just go along with it. And I remember doing that multiple times, going to parties where I'm like, man, I don't really want to be at this party. I'm just going to get fucked up. And like now I just go home. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, oh, I don't want to be at this party. I'm just going to go home because I'm like actually now prioritizing what I want to do instead of just doing the things that I think I need to do. So like all of that has been crazy positive. And like those are things, but those are also things I constantly have to remind myself of when I have like crazy urges to drink. And being like, hey man, you want this like release right now, but like it's gonna turn into you fucking hating yourself for like months. You know? So like don't do it.
Are you doing it on your own, or do you go to meetings? Or?
I go to yes, I do go to meetings. I don't go to meetings regularly. It is something that I kind of like go back and forth on. There's a lot of, I feel weird about talking about it because it is like anonymous. So like I don't want like too much of it, but like it to a sense of like there's not everything in the program like I don't 100% I guess relate to. So it's like it was kind of going back and forth on me of like, I don't know if this is helping me or if this is just making me like more stressed out about what's happening. I do find that like there's a lot of things that I've pulled from that I can still constantly use, which are things of like writing like gratitude list and stuff like that, or like things you're thankful for, being very open and honest to your friends. I let my friends, like, cause my close group of friends know how I'm feeling. So if I am like struggling with like not drinking that day or something, then like I'll let them know that, so like they're aware of it. I try to be way more honest with my friends outside of drinking. I'm just like, this is how I'm feeling, or like, this is what I'm not telling you, or like, because like all of those things are kind of what triggers me wanting to drink. Is like, oh man, I'm scared to have this conversation with this person. So like, instead of like dealing with my emotions and how I'm feeling, I'll just go get fucked up and I just won't care about it.
Yeah.
You know, but now I'm kind of like, all right, I need to call my friend and like talk to them about, you know, whatever I'm dealing with, or like, you know, they said something to me that like sat with me the wrong way, or I feel like a weird tension about you, and like, or I feel like you're mad at me, and I want, you know, I have to be a little bit more upfront with people about that, so I don't like fall in. So like that, and also just like setting routines, like that's a big part of it now too. You know, like I work out like regularly now, because like that's like a release. It's like a way to get like endorphins up, and like a way to get out of my head, and like that was shit I just never did before, because I would just use alcohol for all of that, you know, and like whatever. I'm like looking for like a therapist right now of like, yeah, it just like makes you take stock of like, all right, well, I'm gonna actually have to deal with my mental health instead of just like avoiding everything.
Yeah.
And so but yeah, what's so like nice about like meetings and shit is like people who don't drink heavily, or like are not alcoholics, have a very difficult time relating to you when you're talking about this stuff sometimes. So I can like talk to my friends about these like urges and like how I'm feeling and stuff like that, but they can only relate to it so much, and they can be like sympathetic to it, like because they're my friend and they care for me, but they don't really understand where I'm coming from. And they also, if you don't deal with like addiction, like you don't understand what I'm saying when I'm like, no, like I can't think of anything else right now.
Yeah.
Like it is like overwhelmingly feeling like this. And like, also like right when I stopped drinking, I did have a lot of friends who like drank with me, who don't have a problem with drinking, who are just like, well, just have a beer. You know what I mean? Like what you can just have like one beer.
Yeah.
And me being like, you don't understand what you're saying to me right now, and you're almost like gaslighting me. You know what I mean? Because like I cannot have just one beer, and I know that you think that I can, and you think that like it's just a thing of like willpower, but like literally I have one beer and everything else will go out the window. You know what I mean? Like I will fucking destroy my life, and I will want to destroy my life. Like, I used to get to a thing of like alcohol where like I would get like, you know, enough in where literally I would think in my head like burn it all down, you know what I mean? And I was like did not care, you know what I mean? I would drive drunk, I would fucking say mean shit to people, I would go home and just like fucking throw shit around my house and stuff like that, because like I was upset with my life, and I was just you know, and I was avoiding all that. So like I would get to a point of close enough to like a, you know, essentially like a blackout where I was just like, all of those inside feelings were coming outward, and I'm just like, yeah, fuck it all. I don't care about my life. I don't want to live in this life.
Yeah.
And then so like now you got to actually like deal with those feelings. Now I do have a bit more capacity. It's crazy now of like when I get urges to drink, I can identify them now of where that feeling's coming from, when I couldn't previously do that. I'd just be like, oh, I want to drink. You know what I mean? But now I'm like, I really want to drink right now. And I'll like think about it and be like, all right, well, I had that awkward conversation with my coworker at work, and like I feel like they're mad at me, and like I want, you know, it's like all that stuff. I can start to identify why it is, and that's very helpful. And just pinpointing and being like, oh no, I don't want to be drunk right now. I want to be out of this feeling. You know what I mean? And so now I can like realize that, and I have more routines that will help me get out of that. So then I'll fucking do some yoga, or like go for a walk, or like, you know, go sit at a coffee shop and get a coffee and like journal for a bit, you know, which is like, it's so funny to me that I'm so I so did not do this before, that like talking about self-help stuff like almost makes me feel like a like a loser or some shit. Like, oh, we can't talk about self-help, but like literally that's what I do now. I do like self-help stuff, and like I get that release. It just takes a lot longer.
It does feel silly sometimes. Like even like when you like the affliction that you had, like I do yoga, I go for a walk. Like we do that thing to kind of like, in here it's serious. Like yoga is serious to me, but I don't want to sound like I'm taking myself too seriously. So I'll say yoga, journal, you know.
I gotta put that inflection on it. Like, I know, guys, I know this is ridiculous, but I'm trying to help myself.
But it is a real thing. It is a real like way that you spend your time to not do the alcohol thing.
Yeah.
It is very serious.
It's super serious. And it's funny that like it's funny because everyone knows that, and they know that like those things in your life do become overwhelming and you need a release and you need to check in on yourself. And that's why like I used to do a lot of alcohol material about drinking material, and that's why everyone like they kind of like love that because they all relate to it. Everyone's kind of using alcohol in a similar way as like a release, you know, like fuck, I've had a long day at work, I want this and I want to do that. So like people do understand mental health on that level, they just don't understand it maybe necessarily like healthy ways, you know. And I'm also not like a person who's like completely like anti-alcohol. People who can drink normally and like do it, like yeah, there's nothing wrong with, in my point of view, of like going out to a happy hour, going out, you know, on a Saturday night and enjoying your night and going to the club and getting fucked up and going home. It's just like for me, it starts on Saturday and ends next Saturday. You know what I mean? So like it doesn't work for me. But it's funny that when we do talk about other ways to get a release, like yoga, like running, like journaling, whatever, yeah, you feel ridiculous. Yeah. And it's like, why? Because it's not like a cool thing. You know what I mean? And it's also, you start to get these images. Like it's like hard for me to tell people I do yoga because I just imagine them thinking me in my house and like fucking yoga tights and like a man bun, you know what I mean? And like me listening, you know, having fucking oils burning and shit like it. And I'm like, no, it's not like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But it is kind of like that. Like, I do have essential oils in my house and like a fucking candles and like fucking sometimes I take a bath, you know, and it's like, I don't know. I enjoy all those things. I just don't enjoy people picturing me doing those things. So it's very strange. But what's also funny about it is like with me having stopped drinking and I'm much more vulnerable about those like struggles now and like just talking to people, like I could not have this conversation with you like 3 months into not drinking, you know, because I just hadn't accepted it as part of my identity. And I was still really loathing the loss, or not loathing, but like grieving the loss of that identity, you know, of losing alcohol as like a person. And I have this like weird glorification of like those kinds of people, of like the beat writers like Bukowski and like JD Salinger and like all that like kind of shit of like, no, I deal with my problems by locking myself in my room, drinking a bottle of whiskey, smoking cigarettes, and writing down my thoughts, you know, and like that's how I'm gonna plow through life. And it's a weird glorification thing I did like as a child. Like I started that shit when I was young, of just being like, yeah, those are the people that, like the people who are cynical and like have a bit of a chip on their shoulder about the world, like those are the cool people. And now I look at people who like, I don't know, who like do work out and do have positive routines and thing. I'm like, damn, those are the people. Those are the people we should be aspiring to be. I don't know why I needed to be this like, felt like the only cool way to live life is to be like a cynical, you know, jaded motherfucker. And like, it's weird that you just like want to be that, you know, you want to be like it's almost like being in the cool group or something. But it's like, actually, you know what I'd rather really do is like, I don't know, not want to kill myself. Like that's what, like, you know, I would much rather go on a pleasant walk and then be up at 4 a.m. drinking fucking shitty ass beer and whiskey by myself, you know? So if it's gonna come off that like I'm some kind of loser because I would like to do yoga and take baths, like I'll take that. I'll take that now. You know what I mean? Like think of me as a loser. At least I do not hate myself because I used to fucking hate myself. So like, it's just like it's very much so like, as you're saying, of like reframing your identity in your head and being like, man, I've been telling a narrative about myself like over and over again. Like I am this person. I am the jaded person. I am like going to be the cynical person in the room. And then just being one day being like, no, I want to be happy. I'm going to choose happiness. Actually, I'm going to try to move down that path because this crazy binge drinking I'm doing is not getting me there.
It's not fucking working anymore.
Yeah, it's not working. And it's funny because it did used to work, you know?
Yeah. Like when it works, like you're just like, I'm hungover, but like I really felt good last night. I really felt great last night. You know, I had a lot of fun last night, but I feel like garbage today. And sometimes, and this is just for me, sometimes I rather feel hungover than just not knowing why am I so sad today. You know, because I'm sad today because I'm hungover, as opposed to like I'm sad today Why?
Yeah, so it gives you the avoidance.
Yeah.
even the hangover gives you the avoidance, which is funny. Yeah.
Like, I'm not really depressed. I'm hungover. And then sometimes I was like, why didn't I drink last night? Why do I feel this sadness still? You know?
Yeah.
Why do I feel hungover?
Yeah.
You're just depressed.
Exactly. And it's nice to have that like tangible
It's nice to have something else to blame it on.
Exactly. And that's like that's huge. And that's, I guess, kind of going back to like what I was saying about you realize that like stop drinking only solves your drinking problem. But yeah, it used to be, and because of that, it used to just be something you blamed for everything. It was so much easier to be like, oh no, I was a shithead last night because I was drunk. You know, like whatever. I'm not doing well at work because I'm drunk, or like this, XYZ, a billion and two reasons. You can always blame it back on drunk. John Mulaney has a great joke about this. Actually, I think in one of his first specials, but he's like, you lose your best excuse when like you, I'm going to butcher the joke, but you lose your best excuse when you stop drinking, because like you used to be able to call people the next morning and be like, hey man, I'm sorry I was so annoying and loud last night. I was really drunk. And now you just have to be like, hey man, I'm sorry I was so loud and annoying last night. That's just the person I am. And like, that's how it feels sometimes. Cause like I am still like loud and opinionated and like stupid, you know, and I'm just doing that cause that's me now. And I have to be like, hey, sorry I like laid into you so hard last night. I was just on one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I was just in a weird mood. And it's like, I miss that crutch. I miss having that.
For sure.
Long story short from your question is, yes, my life is a hell of a lot better from it. But it doesn't mean that like the struggle of it has really gone away by any means. It's gotten better. I think. And like, I also, whatever, this is all like a process too. And like, like maybe I will like drink again, but like in my head, it will be like a relapse. It won't be like I'm doing something like, okay, I'm ready to drink again. It will be like, oh, something happened and I do it. Because like what I was going back to say, I do truly believe that like I'm an alcoholic and I cannot manage my life when I'm drinking. And so like, I think that like, I even have the thought of like, if I did start drinking again, it might be fine for like several years, or like for a couple months or whatever. But then I would get back right into like the routines and it would fucking ruin my life again. You know what I mean?
Then you got to start all over.
Yeah. Like it was bad. Like I could sit here and tell you stories of like crazy shit that I was doing in my life, but it was just like me just fucking bad. Like one time I left like I got home. This was a weekday. It like maybe like I think it was like a Thursday night, and gone to like some open mics, and then stayed and like drank by myself, and like closed the bar out by myself, fucking wasted. Drove home, got home, was like, I'm hungry. Put on a can of soup on the gas stove. Went to my bed, passed out. Woke up 8 hours later. Stove still on, fucking black. In the pan, had to like throw out the pan. I could have burned my house down and killed myself. You know what I mean? So it's like those kinds of things where it's like, no, this is like, and that's what I'm saying, like ruining my life. You know what I mean? Like I just lose all ability to like have control over any situation because of alcohol, and like literally I would do things that would severely affect my life. And I just was like, man, I do not trust myself with alcohol at all. And like, I never will trust myself with alcohol because I know that kind of flip is always a possibility and it will always happen. It's just a matter of when that flip will happen. You know? I don't know.
Well, good for you, man. I mean, thanks for sharing. Like, I'm very inspired. Like, I do want to, I don't think I could ever 100% stop drinking, but I do need to be better about it because I can't do like that 1-2 drinks and that's it. Like I have to like, I'll finish a bottle in a weekend, know? And and my wife would be like, why do you do this to yourself? Cause I'll wake up like in pain. She's like, why do you do this to yourself? I was like, I don't like myself.
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
God. Yeah.
I
mean, I fucking hated myself and am trying to get over like hating myself. But like, the self-loathing I had while drinking was just, I didn't even understand how crazy it was until I kind of got out of that. But I was like, damn, I literally fucking hate myself. And it's like intense. And I don't like that feeling. It's like trying to figure out, I guess like, I just got to a point where I was like, man, I don't want to hate myself anymore. So like, let's figure out some stuff to think more positively about myself. There was something else that you just said that I was thinking about. You having the bottle thing. I don't know. I forgot.
So cool, man. You did share a lot with that. I do appreciate you sharing your journey with sobriety.
Yeah.
Very
What I was gonna
intense.
say, yeah, or like about that too, is like I'm not this. My personal experience is like my personal experience with alcohol.
Yeah.
Like I'm not here to. Sometimes when I talk about like this kind of shit or whatever, I feel like some people feel like judgment off of it, or like start to compare their like shit to my shit. I do not think about like my journey into this as like some kind of like map that other people should be following, or like you know what I mean, like that, or like, and also like my relationship to alcohol is different from everyone else's drinking of alcohol, and like some people are like alcoholics and some people need to refocus on why are they drinking so heavily, just like finding out what's the balance for you. And I did that for a long time and like tried to change my relationship with alcohol, and eventually I just got fucking tired of putting focus into that, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to cut it all out so I can live my life. Because I got tired of trying to figure out how to live my life with it. So to that point, I guess I'm just saying, you don't need to like shit on yourself because you're feeling like someone's doing something that you're not doing or whatever. I think it is very much an individual process, which is like self-reflection,
for sure.
You know what I mean?
So cool. So we'll do the 3 questions and we'll wrap it up. I think you already like touched on it with the whole alcohol thing.
Sorry, no. That for a while.
No, it's fine. I mean, I appreciate you talking about it and stuff. So the first question, what's something that you're afraid of?
What's something I'm afraid of? It was funny because when you sent me over these questions like beforehand, and has it all been all comics on here
so far
on this podcast?
So far, yeah.
That's why I'm like, man, did we all have like the same thing of like not being liked? Like that's like everyone's fear of like that.
I mean, somebody brought up being forgotten.
Okay, yeah, that was also another one I was thinking about. For sure, yeah. This like I used to have like a dream when I was like a child of like, man, I want to be like in history books. You know what I mean? I want to do something so significant where like people are gonna have to like read about me later. Which I have less about that. What is a fear about being forgotten and like not having a legacy and like ending that. What I was going to say though, one fear that I definitely do have is not is kind of getting stuck in the rut of life and not actually pursuing my dreams and what I want to do. And that's why, we started out this about talking about like dreams of moving and stuff like that. And like, I like my job. I like the organization I work for, but I did not want to do what I'm currently doing. You know what I mean? And like, it was just I think it's a very easy thing that people fall into because you ultimately need a paycheck to live your life. Yeah. So like, you're just like, it's very hard to like take the leap and like drop your security systems so you can pursue the things you actually want to do. And I have a real fear of being whatever my age right now and not having done the things I want to do. And I do feel like that a little bit of like, man, I haven't really given full commitment and like faith in myself and like allowed myself to pursue comedy in the way I want to pursue comedy because I'm too worried to like give up my day job. I'm too worried about like losing my securities. I also like my securities. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment by myself. I'm sure as fuck not paying through comedy. I'm paying through that through my day job. So like, I guess kind of giving up your comfort zones to like pursue your dream in the way you want to, and like taking away that the security net or like the net, and that is a big fear of mine of like, I guess both of those. I was gonna, because the next question is the worried, right? Can I jump ahead? Because these are kind of combined.
No, they all combine really.
So like the fear is me being 50 years old, working a job I don't want to work in and having a family that I don't want to be a family in. You know what I mean? And I've just gotten trapped into this like American capitalism lifestyle of like, I'm in a shit ton of debt and I'm working a job to pay for all this shit that I don't want anyway, and like, I got a house payment, a car payment, I got to pay for my kids, all my kids' shit. And like, I'm not even experiencing or enjoying my life. I'm just essentially waiting for retirement and really just waiting for death. You know what I mean? Like that is a fear of mine.
Do you do that because of outside perspectives, or you do that because you yourself want to feel the security of it? You know, do you feel like you have
I
to
feel
live up
the
to
security.
this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I.
Because like for me, I feel like I'm worried about what other people see me as. So
Oh,
I
okay,
need to
okay.
have like
Yeah.
the good job, the stable
Oh,
job, the
that's
health insurance. You know, but
oh,
you're
that's so
saying
interesting.
it's more from the inside.
It is more from the inside of
Okay.
like needing that security, and I think that comes a bit from my upbringing. Like my uh, parents never. I kind of grew up like lower middle class, not like crazy poor by any means, but money was always definitely a thought. It was a very stressful thing in my house all the time of like how are we going. You know, it was very much so like kind of paycheck to paycheck, and then like both of my parents lost their jobs at the same time, right in the 2008 recession. Both of my parents lost their jobs at the same time. They were going through a divorce, and then they like both filed for like bankruptcy, you know, and like I had to get a job to well, for sure to do anything I wanted to do. You know, I was like around like 15, 16 at that time, and like I wanted to start like driving and stuff like that. So to pay for any of my own shit, I for sure needed jobs, but I also felt a sense of needing my own money, so I did not have to put any more pressure on my parents.
Yeah.
And I also saw how detrimental and unhappy that was making them to be not secure with money. That it did, I think, has built a fear inside of me to be in a situation where I don't have money. So like, I think other people have a different relationship to money. Like I envy people who are like money comes and goes, because that is usually when people are rich, that's their outlook on money. Like, you know, like they're like, man, fuck it. You know, I'll go into debt because I know I can take myself out of debt. You know, they live more life on like this, like, it's like an entrepreneur kind of mentality. I don't have that because I am scared as shit of not having any, of being broke, and then like not being able to afford rent and stuff, because I don't know. I've been in a situation where the house has been foreclosed on. You know what I mean? And I do not want to be in a situation again where like a house is foreclosed on. You know what I mean? And like, this is for sure not me shitting on my parents. They're very, you know, great people and always like provided for me. And I never was out of a house and always had food on the table and had all that stuff, but they struggled to do it at times. And that seemed stressful as hell to them. And like, and I felt that stress as a child. So yes, I am extremely worried to like quit my job where I have a steady paycheck and benefits and stuff, because I'm just like, man, what if this doesn't work out? Like, where am I gonna be? Am I gonna have to move back in with my dad? I sure as fuck don't want to move back in with my family. I'm more worried. Yeah. So, and I guess that kind of like stress too is like, it's not fun being the one who's broke. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice being like, you going out to dinner and be like, don't worry about it. Like, I'll get the dinner. You know what I mean? And like being able to have those being able to buy your friends presents and shit, like that all is very nice. So it's like, but it's like at the end of the day, well, I'm much more enjoy, like my passion is comedy. You know what I mean? So like that's the shit I want to do. And I guess I would rather give up the securities of like salary job, that kind of shit, to actually be fulfilled and happy in my life. Yeah. Because I think that like the security I'm getting from it now will be like the security I will resent when I'm like 55. You know what I mean? So there's like that aspect of it. As far as like, but that was where the worry comes into. So like my fear is to be stuck doing a job I don't necessarily want to be doing, and all of a sudden I wake up one day and I'm 55 years old and I'm like, man, I haven't pursued anything I actually wanted to do with my life.
Yeah, that's scary.
The worry is pursuing the shit I want to do with my life and it not working out, and then I am in a position where I'm 55 working paycheck to paycheck, and I don't know, fucking having to work just as hard as I am now, or like, you know, being a barista at 55 or something like that. Like, I'm like, do I want that? Yeah. But I think my real deep feeling is like, yeah, I would actually rather do that if it means I can still keep on doing comedy and like going up and doing it. But
there's some people that are happy with that. There's some people that are happy living a paycheck to paycheck, you know, like, they kind of like stress out. Where's the next meal going to come from? Where's all this stuff? But you know what? They're happy sometimes. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And that's good for them.
Sometimes they seem like way more better spirited. You know what I mean? Like they're the nicer person. They're more caring. It's also to a thing too. I don't know if you like see this. I always feel like people who have less money are more generous in giving out their money. Yeah. Like I always see people who are like paycheck to paycheck give like money to like, you know, unhoused people than I do see people who are like rich as shit. They don't want to give up their money. They're like, no, I worked for my money than my shit. I feel like, I don't know where that comes into play. That's just it's something I think about a lot. Is like how people's relationship is to money and how they feel about it. But yeah, I do ultimately think that like, I guess I would rather give up. I don't know. It's a very hard thing. A part of me wants to have like a family, you know, like a wife and kids. But another part of me is like, I'm not going to be able to enjoy the wife or kids if I gave that up to not follow my dreams, because I'm going to resent them and I'm going to resent my life and I'm going to be unhappy. So like, I think the way I should really think about it is there is no choice. Either I pursue the shit I want to pursue, and I don't make it, and I do end up working a shitty job and like still trying to pursue that, or I pursue the shit I want to do and it works out well and I can still have a family and like kids. But if I don't try to pursue the stuff I want to pursue and I just work the job I don't really want to work and then have the family, I'm gonna like, I don't know, kill myself and the whole family.
And the whole family?
No, obviously not. But you know what I mean. I'm just gonna resent everything. You know, I'll probably start drinking again. You know what I mean? Like it would be that. I would just like, I do not want to be in a position. That's my fear. I do not want to be in a position where I hate my life and like hate and feel like I did not have the courage to pursue the stuff I wanted to pursue.
Yeah. And I guess all three questions kind of can blend together. Some people have separate things and stuff, but what's something that you don't like about yourself?
Oh God! See, I tried to write a list for this, and I just ran out of paper. There's my indecisiveness is a big thing that I dislike about myself. My indecisiveness has always been a thing. Anyone who knows me on any kind of personal level is aware of my indecisiveness. And that comes into this like,
for sure.
Should I pursue my dream? Should I not pursue my dreams? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's difficult to make a decision. Not always. There has been some times in my life where it's like clear and I'm like for instance, when like I've actually decided I want to like end a relationship, it's like a hard end for me. Like, well, that's not true. I was thinking after now I really think about it. It's anytime I get broken up with, it's a hard in for me, and also usually breaking up with someone. But that is less of a decisive move and more of like I'm too insecure. Like I don't understand when people like break up with someone gets like broken up with and then they still like text that person at like 2 a.m. or like, you know, being like, no, can we hang out and get coffee and stuff? I can't do that because like I can't take that kind of rejection from someone. You know, like it's so much to me. I'm like, fuck, if you don't want to hang out with me anymore, I'm sure as fuck not going to beg you to hang out with me, because it makes me feel like such shit of being like, oh no, please hang out with me. You know what I mean? So that's not really a thing of indecisiveness. It's just like insecurity of being like, I can't ask for anyone's time if I don't think they want to give it to me. But it's sorry, I kind of forgot the what I dislike about myself. Yeah, this like indecisiveness of of just not being confident in my decision making and having faith in myself. I guess of like what I dislike about myself is the fact that I dislike myself. That was like the biggest thing. I hate that I hate myself. And it's ridiculous of like, that's just an insecurity thing, like a social anxiety thing. And I do have like anxiety, like pretty heavy anxiety. That's probably why I like to drink so much as well. But because it like definitely knocks that down a bit. But like I have the social anxiety of like, it's not that I dislike, it's not like a social anxiety of like introversion where I don't want to be around people. It's like I'm scared to be myself around people. And like classic example of this is like in high school, I was the guy who like, you know, if you brought up a movie and I didn't know the movie, I would just act like I knew the movie. It'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that, because I felt so embarrassed to be like, no, I haven't seen this movie, even though there's 2 million movies out there, and of course I haven't seen all of them. You brought up a reference, and I feel like for you to like me and accept me, I need to be like, oh yeah, love that movie too. Greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. And like that took conscious effort of me to get over that and to be like, I am just the person that I am. I have my own interests, and those interests are not any better or worse than any other's interests, just who I am. And also, if I don't share that with people, I'm never going to have a real friendship, because they're not going to actually be friends with me. They're going to be friends of a mirror of themselves.
Yeah,
You know, they're gonna
the person I'm faking to be.
Yeah. It's like literally like, here's a mirror of you. Do you like that? Okay, I'll keep on being that person.
Yeah.
You know, and like I just got really tired of that, and I was like, oh, it just was like, it's boring. You know, it's boring as fuck, and like
It's a lot of pressure too.
it's a lot of pressure, and like you ultimately people will not like you because they know you don't know the movie. You know what I mean? They're like, well, okay, well, you say you like this movie and you can't reference anything in it. Are you just a boring ass motherfucker? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes more sense to let them. Well, first off, you shut yourself out from new information.
Mm-hmm.
So like, if someone's talking about something and you don't really know about it, but you want them to like you, so you act like you know about it, you learn nothing about that topic because they just assume you know about it. You know what I mean? So now I will be like, actually, no, I don't know about that, but what is that? And then all of a sudden you learn that shit. And so the next time someone does reference it, you actually do know about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy how if you open up to people, you actually fucking grow. You know what I mean? And like, I was so self-conscious and like so much hatred of myself of like being not accepted that like I wouldn't allow people to get to know me at all. And it makes life boring. And it makes your conversations with people boring. So like, that's something I dislike of myself, is just like constantly feeling like I'm not enough because like ultimately I am enough. What I need to get over is the fact that some people just aren't going to get along or like me because we're different people. You know what I mean? And like,
and that's fine.
It's fine.
That would be a big fear. Like, everybody has to like me. I have to do everything so perfect because I need everybody to like me.
Yeah.
But there's so many people out there. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody has to like you. And it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, because I know exactly what you're talking about. I used to be that same way, especially like with sports. I like sports on a surface level. If you bring up stats, you bring up, you know, history. I was like, dude, I'm checked out. I'm
the same way with sports.
You know, but people get like, I was like, how are you so into like all these other people's like numbers and like how they do this stuff? I like the Seahawks because I like Seattle. I like the Spurs because I'm in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
I don't know. Yeah. That's where it ends with me.
Yeah.
But people like get so hung up on, like, and I used to be like, oh yeah, the stats and like try to keep up. It's like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
It's like you're basing your interest on what other people will like.
Yeah. I like it.
Then it feels like homework. You know what I mean? It's like, oh God.
I like it as an entertainment basis. I like it as a surface level. But other than that, you know, like I'm checked out.
Yeah.
But I used to be that same person. Like, oh yeah, I know all those numbers. Yeah.
Just like this mad, just desire to be liked, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like it's so tiresome, and then it's also like, what the fuck? It's like it comes into self-worth too, because it's like, why am I trying to get these people that I do not share interest with to like me so much? Like, I don't even want to hang out with them. Yeah, I just want them to like me. You know, like it's crazy. Like it's like, and it can get you into like shitty situations too, because all of a sudden you're doing stuff that you don't want to do or like doing because you just want to be the thing. Like that definitely came into play with like, you know, getting into bad shit during high school. You know what I mean? Like everyone, you know, is around doing drugs or something like that. And you're like, I want to be liked too. I'm gonna do it. You know, and like everything inside of you is like, you don't want to do that. You know, like it's like that kind of shit. It's just like having this such low self-worth that like, I'm not worthy enough to hang out to be around these people. Let me make them like me. And then all of a sudden you're doing a bunch of shit you don't want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. This was a great episode. How do you feel?
I feel good. Yeah. It was fun. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for sharing. Replugs, anything you got to promote? Anything?
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at Freckle or Twitter at Freckle Garbage, and then I usually post all my stuff on there. So if you do want to come out and see me do stand up, you can see it on the Instagram for sure.
Cool. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. I had fun. Thank you.